Good evening, YouTube. This is Johnny. Thought I'd make a video. It's been 3 days in the flow of existence. It is October the 8th here in West Michigan. It is 8:06 at night on a Tuesday night. And I thought I'd make a video. Even though it's like I've been on YouTube, I've been going on 4 years. And I always make a video and I say that's the last one. Because it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of, I don't know if it's egotistical to think that you have anything of importance to say in a video about books, about reality, about what's it mean to be a Christian in a world that is in a state of rebellion against God. And you just kind of ask yourself, hey, I always tell myself I would live a life of obscurity, a life that only very few people alive would know that I even exist. And that's probably even true now. But there's always been a part of me that, in spite of my being shy and introverted, to keep on communicating, to keep on reaching out. It's kind of like, it's like I write in my diary. This is my October 2019 diary. And I close today on page 816 for the year 2019. I'm trying to get my little... And I already have ready October the 9th, 2019. So yeah, I asked myself, why am I writing? And I used to say, well, it's a silent form of insanity. It's really insane that I write so much every year, and I expend all the energy and effort, and I get the folders out, and this is all the stuff I copied off on Duck's Newburyport, the novel. I've been reading it, and I'm on page 427 of Duck's Newburyport by Lucy Ellmann. And I mentioned that I went on the internet and I copied all this stuff on Lucy Ellmann and interviews and reviews of Duck's Newburyport and everything I could find. I copied all this stuff off, and then I put it in my October 2019 diary to be forgotten. Someday it'll be thrown on a big, huge bonfire and burned up. Why do I do it? It's kind of insane. But then you really think about it. Sometimes it's really, I look around me and I wonder how people can live in this world who aren't Christians, that they don't fall into some kind of despair, that life seems so meaningless, and there seems to be so many forces in the world that would just negate our own importance in our existence. We're just surrounded by political leaders who just don't give a shit about anything except their own power. Republicans and Democrats. There doesn't seem to be any concern for the common man. And it's like today I was reading that they want to freeze people's pensions. People who worked all their lives depending upon their pensions, and now they want to freeze them. And, things like that. And the government just says, oh, go ahead and do it. Corporate America. They're the ones that give all these politicians money to run for their offices. And so then we have all these pension plans just being taken away from common people who worked all their lives. And things like that. It just goes on and on. But I'm not here to bemoan the state of the world. I'm here to talk about books. I have been reading Ducks Newburyport by Lucy Ellmann, reading all kinds of interviews with her and book reviews. I got an email from the publisher in Great Britain that they're sending my other copy of Lucy Ellmann's Newburyport. I try to read this at least 25, 30 pages a day. And so I'm reading that. Also, I got in the mail, I think I showed this book, I got this in the mail, The Long March, How the Culture Revolution of the 1960s Challenged America by Roger Kimball. And I got this one in the mail yesterday by Hilton, Kramer, The Twilight of the Intellectuals, Culture and Politics in the Era of the Cold War. So I haven't started reading this one. I read some of this, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday. So I was reading those. And yesterday and today I've been reading American Moderns, Bohemia and New York and the Creation of the New Century by Christine Stansell. And then I also, I showed this in some videos in the past, Garrets and Pretenders, A History of Bohemianism in America by Albert Parry. So I like to read about the history of Bohemianism, avant-garde, the lives of writers and poets and thinkers and eccentrics and madmen. And so I've been reading about the history of Bohemianism in America, really starting around the throughout America, we've always had what we would call free thinkers, intellectuals, radicals, anarchists, people who just didn't follow what was popular or what was the standard narrative about how to live out your life. We've always had those kind of people, and we always will. Misfits, mystics, madmen, crazy people, people who just think outside the box, who are seeking to live a higher life, a life that is meaningful in pursuit of whatever that might be. So yeah, I've been reading American Moderns, Bohemian, New York, and the Creation of the New Century by Christine Stansell. I'm really enjoying this. I read these off and on. It's like I'll read Newburyport, and I'll read that for a while, and I'll read something else, and then I just pull these books out for a little change of direction and intellectual stimulation. So, same as this book here, The Twilight of the Intellectuals, Culture and Politics in the Era of the Cold War by Hilton, Kramer. The Long March, The Culture Revolution in the 1960s changed how the Culture Revolution in the 1960s changed America. So I've been reading those. I have been reading a little bit in the mornings, not a great deal, but I have been reading in the mornings for devotions, Participating in Christ, Explorations in Paul's Theology and Spirituality by Michael J. Gorman. I've read almost 91 pages in this book, and I've shown this book, the Dutch theologian Herman Bavinck. They just translated this out of the Dutch. Reform Ethics, Created, Fallen, and Converted Humanity, edited by John Bolt. I've been reading this. I've read about 121 pages of this. So I've been reading these a little bit in the mornings. I'm still kind of out of it. I think maybe I'm kind of depressed or just, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the change of seasons. Maybe it's getting old. I don't know. Sunday, my wife came back from her trip what was it? She came back Sunday. She came back Sunday evening. But in the morning, she called me up Sunday morning and said she wanted me to go downtown and get a couple of Sunday newspapers at Reader's World, which is a family-owned bookstore. They have magazines, newspapers. And I went down there and got newspapers, and they have books 50% off. And I got the new Murakami novel, 50% off, Killing Commendatore. I collect Murakami. I've already read maybe one of his novels, but I have a whole stack of them down on the lower level. This is the new one. My wife brought home, she bought for me while she was away for a week, she bought me 2 biographies. She bought me the biography of Raymond Carver, A Writer's Life, by Carol Sklenicka. And she bought me a Norman Mailer biography, Norman Mailer, A Double Life, by J. Michael Lennon. I told her, she called me up at the Book Nook last Friday, and she was at some used bookstore there in Wisconsin, in Door County, and she was going through the biographies, and I said, she mentioned this one, which I had already, but my copy's all beat up, and this is a really nice, clean copy with it's just really nice, perfect shape. It cost $17 for this thing. That's outrageous, I think. And this costs $20. It goes for $40. It seems both these things, this is $35. So what they did, it's kind of nice, it's like half price. You go to some used bookstores and they sell the book half of the retail price. And that's what these are. It's not really, it's kind of expensive. I try to avoid those used bookstores that try to sell books half the retail price, but that's what these are. So, I did go to thrift stores. I don't know if I showed these. 7 Carnations, The Royals, the Nazis, and the Biggest Cover-Up in History by Andrew Morton. I got this at a local Goodwill. I don't know what it was, maybe last Saturday. And then I picked up the High Life, Low Morals, A Duel That Shook Stuart Society by Victor Stater. And then I picked up this novel. I have 2 other novels by Thomas Sanchez. This is his novel, The Day of the Bees. I have his novel, and I can't, Mile Zero in Rabbit Boss I have by Thomas Sanchez, which I can't find down the lower level and all that chaos down there. So I picked these up at a local Goodwill. High Life and Low Morals, A Duel That Shook Stuart Society. It's like on British history, 18th century. And then this book, 7 Carnations, The Royals, the Nazis, and the Biggest Cover-Up in History. So that's my book world. That's what's going on here since my last video. My wife went back to work after being off 2 weeks tonight. She's off. She works tomorrow night, so I might make another video. Like I said, I do have coming in the mail another copy of Ducks Newburyport by Lucy Ellmann. I've read, like I said, that much of that book. And I plan to read it, I don't know what time I'll read tonight. I read about 20 pages of this evening. So I hope you're all having a good week. I thank you for the comments, the new subscribers. Like I said, I'm kind of out of it these days. I don't know what it is. I'm just kind of feeling just, maybe I'm depressed. Maybe I'm just sick of everything. But yeah, she bought me home Norman Mailer, Double Life, J. Michael Lennon. I collect Norman Mailer. I have almost all that he has written. I have biographies. Library of America just published republished in a 2-volume box set, his writings. And I have the short story writer, Raymond Carver. I have that downstairs, his short stories. Murakami, Killing Commendatore. I like to read this sometime, maybe next year. Reading Participating in Christ in the mornings for devotions, and Reformed Ethics by the great Dutch Reformed theologian. He lived from, what years did Herman Bavinck live? He was born in 1854 and he died in 1921. Herman Bavinck. I have his Reformed Dogmatics, I have his essays, I have other books by him. Herman Bavinck, great Dutch Reformed theologian. As far as my diary, tomorrow, like I said, I'll be on page 817 tomorrow morning, unless I write something tonight. My last words in Testament before I kick the bucket and go to glory. I don't know. Anyway, I am really enjoying this American moderns, Bohemian New York, and the creation of the new century. This is really interesting. I'm really enjoying this. Also, I like this little book. I'm on the beginning of Greenwich Village in New York, about 1910, 1920 in New York, Greenwich Village. This book I find kind of, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about it, negative, and I don't know. Made me think, but that's for another time, another day, another hour. So once again, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscribing. Thank you for just being who you are. And I hope you're all doing well, that you're having a good week. And until next time, bye.